Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over my favorite Anthurium. I'll probably do a full favorites video where I kind of go through my entire collection as far as what my favorites are a little bit later, but I just figured since Anthurium make up the bulk of my collection, I would go through kind of my top 5 with those. I do have a few honorable mentions, so we might go a little bit over 5, but let's get into it. All right, so starting out the top 5 is going to be one of my plants from Rousseau, my Ace of Purple, crossed with a Crystal Luxe Purple Mag Ace of Spades. The main reasons why it's one of my favorites is going to be how complex that hybrid is. A lot of my hybrids are second and third generation hybrids. This is probably the most complex hybrid that I know of currently. So just to have it, is nice. I love how velvety the finished off leaves come out. It's one of my most velvet, and the most interesting thing about this plant is how thick the leaf is. Obviously you guys can't feel this, but it's a very thick leaf. Last and most probably predominant thing about this plant is the color of the new emergent leaf. When it first starts to emerge, it's almost like a jet black, which is very different from a lot of my other Anthurium, which are usually more orange, more brown, or just green. So this one holds that special number 5 spot in my collection currently. All right, taking that number 4 spot is going to be my Carlos crossed with a Carlaza 1. This one's also from Rousseau. Main things that I love about this plant are going to be the emergent leaf coloring. Like I just said, a lot of my emergents are kind of a brown or like a kind of a green. This is one of the ones that really shows a bright orange and fades into a green as it goes. I mean, even now the leaf is almost hard and you can really still see that it has a lot of that orangey texture. The growth rate for this one for me has been very fast. Some of my other Anthurium are a little bit slower when it comes to putting out a new leaf, but this one loves to put one out right away. That's probably the pap in it, but I'm super excited for that. Last thing that I'm really looking forward to, and the reason that it takes that number 4 spot, is the breeding potential. I feel like the pap that was used for this one has a very nice almond shape, and I think the Carla is giving it a lot of the veination coloring that it has. Let me zoom in here. Yeah, so I'm super excited to, start producing some hybrids with this guy. Hopefully it flowers relatively soon. I think it might be reaching cataphyll, but not 100% sure. So we'll see in the next month or so. Number 3 on the list is going to be my Dresserai Cross with the Dorayaki that I got from the Green Escape on Etsy. This plant was, I was very hopeful for this at first because the picture they used on Etsy was very pillowy. It had a lot of dress in it, just with a lot of the Dorayaki shape and the veination. And when I got it after the second and third leaf in my care, I was really disappointed because I didn't get a very pillowy specimen. I mean, as you can see from this guy, it's not very pillowy like a Dresserai. So this one was kind of underrated as far as like my collection went. It was really falling by the wayside. Wasn't really taking the best care of it and stuff. And you can see that from some of the emergent leaves, or the past leaves rather. But as I started to, get a little bit more fond of just the brownness of this plant, it really started to grow on me. And just this newest leaf is so round and so big compared to the other leaves that it's taking that number 3 spot for me. I definitely would love to find this cross, but a little bit more pillowy, a little bit on that Dresserai side. But I'm not going to actively go searching for it. This one kind of fills that spot in my collection for right now for a very, silvery veination round leaf. Other thing that's super cool about this one is the newest leaf has a lot of very, very bleeding veination. None of my other, crystallinum crosses or anything like that has a lot of bleeding in the venation. With this one, it's really concentrated by the sinus and then slowly expands out from there. These are the past leaves. As you can see, they're pretty small compared to the newest one. I'm gonna attribute this large size up to my number one, giving it a lot more attention, and number two, the fertilizer mix that I've implemented over the last 2 months. It's really helped this thing kind of blow up, and I'm hoping that it continues to size up. All right, before we get into number two and number one, I'm going to go over my honorable mentions. These few Anthurium didn't make the cut as far as my top 5, but they're still right there. Depending on how they proceed to grow over the next few months, they could kind of move some people around. So number one of my honorable mentions is my Lux Radican Cross that I got from the Green Escape on Etsy. I love how belate the leaves are. This is my most belate Anthurium. You can see from these two last leaves that it really takes on the Lux and the Radican's kind of bumpiness. I also love this plant for the emergent leaf color. This is my only Anthurium that really gives that copper color to the emergent leaf. Everything else is really like a deep brown or a green, like I mentioned earlier. So, having that variation with the emergent leaves is super special. This one's also kind of in that spot for the honorable mention because it was one of my first Anthurium and it has never given me an issue, right? It's been consistently sizing up in the leaf size. It actually just put out its newest flower. I didn't collect any pollen off of that. I think I missed it. And I didn't have any pollen to pollinate it with. So hopefully it puts another flower out soon so I can kind of maximize my opportunity with that. But here's the newest emergent leaf. All right, my last honorable mention is going to be this Red Crystal Cross from Woohoo's Tropicals rather. This is a Red Crystal Woo 9 crossed with a Chocolate Crystal Woo 1. This one was actually not something that I meant to bid on. I was, just watching the live sale and bid on it, and I thought I was going to lose the bid, but I got it. I don't have any other red crystals, so this was just one I figured I'd get just in case. And again, I got the bid, so it is what it is. But the reason it's kind of getting into that honorable mention spot is the fact that I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. On the live, I could really tell that there was a lot of difference in the color variation compared to a lot of my other Anthuriums. I don't think I have anything that's as dark with as silver veination. And this is something I'm really looking forward to size up and hopefully see if I can add it into some other crosses in the future so that breeding potential is very high up on my list. Along with the other Woohoo crosses, she is putting out a new leaf. And this one looks like it has a lot of mechanical damage already, no idea why, and it's actually coming in upside down, so a little scary there, but that's its newest leaf, and that is the current leaf right now. Alright, if you follow me on Instagram, number 2 should not be a surprise. I love posting about this plant. It definitely deserves its spot in my favorites. This is my Poppy FTG Crystal from Rousseau. Biggest thing that's kind of putting it in that number 2 spot is this newest leaf here. I just really love this shape. I feel like it's so sleek and elegant, but it also really commands a lot of presence in my cabinet when it's shoved in there with a lot of different plants. This one was another underrated plant similar to my Dresserai, where when I bought it, I thought it would look different, and it didn't turn out how I wanted to, but my expectations are exceeded by now. It put out a crappy leaf, it put out an even crappier leaf, and then it put out this. So super pleased about what's going on with this plant. This is honestly my ideal leaf shape as well. It's very elongated from the bottom, and it also has a little bit of space in between the lobes. Only thing that I wish would be a little bit different about this plant is if the lobes were a little bit taller, maybe a little bit closer together, but I'm not complaining, right? this is definitely, you know, one of those top 2 plants in my collection that I'm going to keep around no matter what. Very big shocker when it started to put this leaf out as well. All right, my number 1 favorite Anthurium, and if I'm being honest, spoilers for my full favorites video, probably my favorite plant of my collection is going to be my Jungle Giant Cross with a Luxurians from Steve's Leaves. I got this one off of the auctions that Steve's Leaves runs every week. Bid on it because I saw it in there and I said, wow, that's a beautiful Luxurians cross, like word for word. You know, this definitely caught my eye right away. You know, the reason that this is one of my favorites, there's a lot of them, right? Number 1 is the journey that we've been through. When I got this originally, I didn't do the proper rehab and acclimation to my climate and my care. So it almost died on me. It almost went back to a full stump. It had 1 leaf left and it was really crappy. Then it put out this like kind of half leaf, which was really weird. It kind of bounced back, but it didn't. I actually got in touch with the people over at Steve's Leaves. They hopped on a call with me and kind of walked me through what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong and stuff that I should change rather. So that's, you know, really special to me. This is also the first Anthurium that I've grown to this size on my own, as well as the first Anthurium to flower in my care. So really excited about that. I mean, if we just kind of take a little journey, this is the oldest leaf, then it jumps to this size here, then it jumps to this size here. It had a little bit of a shrinkage on this leaf. I think I may have let it dry out a little too long, and now it just put out this massive leaf. There is a new emergent coming out on this plant now, as well as it looks like another inflorescence. I'm really hoping, wow, I already see the leaves splitting. Oh, that's a little disappointing. Shoot. It is what it is. No matter what damage is already coming through the leaf, I feel like this Anthurium is always going to have a very special spot in my heart. You know, it's not as belate as the Lux Radicans, but it's just enough to the point where it's special. All right, guys. So yeah, that's my top 5 favorite Anthurium out of my collection, with a few extra thrown in there as honorable mentions. If you have any questions about how I care for my Anthurium or anything you could think of, climate, substrate mix, acclimation to ambient, go ahead and throw those in the comments below. If you're not following, I would appreciate it if you hit that follow button. Remember to like, subscribe, go from there. I don't know, man. It's been great chatting with you. Have a good one.